here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, moving in this place. I worship you, I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God is dead, it's who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God is dead, it's who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God is dead, it's who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God is dead, it's who you are.
Hi, it's Judith here once again, and I hope you've had a wonderful week so far. So today I'm going to be speaking with you on a topic that's fairly common for us Christians but is extremely difficult to put into practice: surrendering to God's will. I'm going to start with a question: why should we surrender to the Lord, right? I'm going to start with one point that is very important to me, and that's just the salvation story. The story of how Jesus came down on earth as man because he loved us. He lived amongst us. He suffered an excruciatingly painful death on the cross to save us from our sins. And what does this loving God ask of us in return? He asks us to live a life that's worthy of Him, to give ourselves to Him. And how do we do that? The answer is simple: surrender. Now the second point, as Christians, right, the basic thing of being a Christian is that we have accepted Jesus into our hearts and into our lives. And by accepting Him, what have we done? We've said, Lord, you take control, you take the reins. We have anyway, as Christians, by default, we are supposed to surrender to the Lord. And finally, and this I think makes the most logical sense as well, God knows best. If I think of myself, and I think I might know a fair amount, right? But I think of myself as one individual living in one road in the city of Bangalore, which is in India, which is one among the many countries on our planet Earth, which is one among the many planets in our solar system, and there are many solar systems in our universe. And then there, of course, is our God, who created each of us and who created this very universe. Who knows better? Definitely our Lord, right? So isn't it just a better idea to surrender our lives to our God? I'm going to read for you from Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." God has already planned our lives. Isn't it just easier to give it all to Him, because He knows what is best for us? And when I say this, I'm sure there's a question that comes up, that is of free will, right? What separates man from all other creatures on the planet is that we have the freedom of choice. We have freedom. We have free will. So why would the Lord have given us free will if we were to just eventually surrender to Him. God gave us human beings free will so that we may, with a complete freedom of choice, choose Him. He wants us and He wanted us to choose Him. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and how I committed my life to the Lord, right? I came from a very good Catholic family. Both my parents were actively involved in preaching and leading worship and a lot of things, right? So I was a typical good girl. I was also a very studious girl, so I studied well. And I found that over a period of time, my self-esteem had a lot to do with how well I studied. I attended multiple retreats growing up. I wasn't perfect, I was an okay girl. Each time I attended a retreat, I would go back and say, Lord, I want to live my life for you. 2 weeks from the retreat, life goes back to normal, everything is forgotten, and I just go back to my old ways. Now, fast forward, I was in the 12th standard, and you know that 12th standard is extremely important, especially if you want to take up competitive examinations. And I wanted to be an engineer. And I didn't just want to be an engineer, I wanted to study in one of the IITs or at least an NIT. For those who don't know, these are very premium colleges in India. So I wanted to get into one of those. I studied hard. I didn't do as well as I expected. I didn't do badly, but I definitely didn't do well enough to get into an IIT. And my confidence was shattered. I remember it was a very difficult time in my life where I didn't want to meet people. I just stayed in my room. I cried a lot. And I think one day I realized enough of moping. It was only the Lord's help, right? I think I sat down and I made a prayer and I said, Lord, I realized through all these years I have completely taken you for granted because I thought I was a good girl. Everybody told me that and I thought that was enough. But I realize now that it's not enough. So you may have your reasons to have let me go through whatever I'm going through right now. But I give myself to you. You do what you feel is right in my life. From this point on, I let go of the reins. A lot of peace came into my life after that. And within a few days, I decided to attend a retreat with my father. It was a youth retreat. It was just 3 days, beautiful teachings and praise and worship. And I came back completely refreshed. And by that point, although some of my results had come out and I wasn't too happy about it, I was okay because I knew that the Lord would lead me. The end of the retreat, that very evening, I was having a voice lesson with some friends, and we had finished class and then we were having dinner, and then my father calls me up and he gave me the results of another entrance examination, and I had done rather well. And from that point on, things just fell into place. I wanted to study outside Bangalore. After all that I studied, I felt like the college in Bangalore is just not good enough. The Lord found one college in Bangalore that was definitely good enough and that I shouldn't have managed to get into with my score, but He left that one seat for me. And everything fell into place. I was in Bangalore, in a good college. I didn't have to travel too much. I was close to my family. I was part of a wonderful prayer group and also eventually became a part of their worship team. And I know, in hindsight, if I had gone outside the city, I possibly wouldn't have been able to live my commitment to the Lord. But the Lord took care of that as well. And when I think of it, the Lord knew so much better than I did. He gave me so much more than I could have ever imagined, and all it took was that I had to surrender to Him. Now, surrender is a daily thing, right? I surrendered my life to the Lord back when I was 18 years old, and 10 years have gone by since then. Was that one time enough? No, because we are human beings and we keep falling. So each time we surrender our lives to the Lord. We surrender it daily, morning and night, and during the day, Lord, take control, let your will be done in my life. A friend used to give me this example. When do we surrender? Most often, right? When something goes drastically wrong and we cannot handle it anymore, we go to the Lord and say, Lord, take control. So imagine after you give the Lord control, you and Jesus get into a car. And you say, Jesus, no, I'm tired of driving, I'm tired of taking the control, you drive. So you let it drive, and He starts driving. We go through different roads, and some roads are narrow, some are broad, and now you enter this particularly beautiful road. And then you see a lot of flowers, you see a lot of people on the sidewalk, and you're just enjoying this, and it's such a lovely road. You say, Lord, stop for a while, please. I want to drive. It's fun. I would like to, and I can manage. You're here with me, right? And so the Lord says, okay, you drive. So they exchange seats. I start driving, and the road slowly changes. I get distracted by what's around me. I enter some narrow roads. I take a few wrong turns, and I get into an accident. And then what I say, Lord, I'm sorry. Take control again. We do not have to live from one disaster to another. We need to just simply surrender on a daily basis. Lord, take control. Now, if we've given control of our lives to the Lord, does it mean that we should have no desires? Absolutely not, right? As human beings, we all have a lot of desires. Now, we can definitely pray to the Lord, giving our desires to Him. We must understand that there are definitely good desires and there are bad desires. And not all good desires come from God, right? My mother always said this thing to me as I was growing up. She would always say, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Not every good thing that you want to do, not every good desire is from the Lord. I'll give you an example. Now, suppose someone wants to join the church choir. One reason could be that they genuinely want to go sing for the Lord. Another reason could be, being in the church choir, I get to stand at the front, everybody recognize me, it's a place for me to show my talent, and I become popular. Both reasons are equally valid. So when we have desires, we need to understand, where is it coming from? As human beings, we may not be able to completely understand all of this, which is why it is just so much simpler to give our desires to the Lord. And there's a saying, a lot of people keep saying, right, listen to your heart will tell you what is right, what is pure. So wrong. I'm going to read a verse for you from Jeremiah chapter 17 verses 9, which says, the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? The heart is deceitful, meaning even this heart, which is the center of all emotions in my life, is deceitful and can make very wrong decisions, can guide you to do all the wrong things, which is why we need to surrender. Our thoughts, our desires, our decisions, everything needs to be surrendered to the Lord, because only He can heal this broken heart and make it whole. Now, surrender isn't easy, right? We need the grace of God every hour of every day to be able to surrender our lives to Him, especially during our youth, where it's so difficult to listen to anyone, and we have all these plans and desires and visions of what our life should be like, and when someone says it's not this way but that way, it's so difficult to digest. Accepting the will of God is very difficult, especially when we ask for something and the Lord may bring it to fruition, but not necessarily in the way that you would expect it to happen, right? I'm going to quote from a movie that I liked very much. One of my favorite movies, Evan Almighty. And in this movie, God, played by Morgan Freeman, is talking to this woman. And then he tells her, when you pray for courage, do you think God gives you courage? Or does He give you an opportunity to be courageous? Or when you ask the Lord for patience, do you think He gives you, like, suddenly you're filled with patience? Or does He give you an opportunity to be patient? Maybe He puts this person in front of you who keeps talking and talking and you're getting a headache. But that is an opportunity where you can be patient and hear the person out. Surrender isn't easy at all, which is why we have to do this every day. Now, there are certain things that will always be difficult to surrender in our lives, right? Some vice, some habit, some desire, that's always very, very difficult to let go. Which is why we always need to ask the Lord for help to also surrender. Ask the Lord for the grace to surrender, right? And there is this prayer, just a one-line prayer that I learned from Father Mark Mary from Ascension to Presents, which says, God, I give you permission to take what I am not strong enough to give. And so, brothers and sisters, I'm going to conclude today's session by just asking you to spend every morning and every night surrendering your life to the Lord. It's the only way we can grow. And by surrendering every day, God will take us to where He wants us to be. We just need to trust that He knows best. And every time we struggle, let's just say to Jesus, "Oh God, I give you permission to take what I am not strong enough to give." Amen. Thank you.
Greetings once again. I hope you had a wonderful week. But now, once again, it's time to learn about a new saint. So, welcome back to Let's Saint a Story. Once again, here we are at the gates of heaven. Try recalling the saints one at a time. Towards the left, we have Blessed Charles de Foucault. Right here, we have Saint Romero. Here we have Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Dominic Savio, Saint Therese of Lisieux, Saint John Bosco, Padre Pio, Saint Augustine of Hippo, Blessed Carlo Acuti, Saint Ignatius of Loyola, Maria Goretti, and Saint Teresa of Calcutta. Once again, I urge all of you, if you do not recall the stories of any of these saints, you can always go back, watch the previous videos, and learn about their stories again. You can always inspire people around you by telling the stories of these saints. By inspiring others, you too can lead them up to heaven, thus spreading the joy of Christianity and spreading the knowledge of these saints too. So, once again, I urge you, if you can't recall these stories, you can always go back and watch the old videos. Those of you who took part in the activity called Who's That Saint last week, and if you were able to figure out who the saint is for this week, then congratulations! If you weren't able to figure out who the saint is for this week, make sure you listen and learn more about the saint today. So let's go ahead and let's meet the saint. Remember, this is going to be like a casual conversation. Imagine you're meeting the saint at a hotel or a nearby park. You want to make a new friend, so you ask the saint a few questions, to which the saint replies. Thus, you get to know more about the saint and make a new friend. So, let's begin our conversation with the saint. This is the person you see in front of you. A rather modern looking person. Should not be too old, right? Well, let us figure out. Let us go ahead and ask him. So, you start by saying, "Hi, it's so nice to meet you. May I know your name?" To which the saint replies, "Hi, my name is Matteo Farina, but you can call me Matteo if you like." "Tell me about your life, Matteo." "Well, I was born on the 19th of September 1990 in Avellino, Italy, to Mikey Farina and Paola Sabatini. I had an elder sister too, named Erica. Throughout my life, I had a deep devotion to Saint Francis of Assisi and to Saint Pio. I would recite the Rosary each day and read the Gospel. I also made my confession once a week. I even attended Eucharistic adoration often. The writings of Saint Therese of Lisieux had inspired me a lot. From my father, I developed a strong liking for music, and I learned several music instruments with my name and with my friends. I formed a music band named No Name. My friends would often refer to me as the moralizer, since I often spoke about God and encouraged peace. I also had a passion for chemistry and thought about continuing my studies in the environmental engineering field. I liked information technology during my time at school. Tell me more, Matteo. I had a dream during the night on 2nd January 2000 in which I saw Padre Pio, who revealed to me the secret of Christian happiness, which he urged me to spread to others. This dream made me realize that I was meant to evangelize the secret to others to lead them to God. I had also created a fund for the missions in Mozambique and deposited my savings there, while urging my parents to replace Christmas shopping with sending something to the poor of Africa. When I was 13 years old, the first cancer symptoms came up. I began to have severe headaches and vision problems. 10 months later, I had a seizure that impaired my vision. The situation worsened as the years went by. I didn't lose the love of my life, nor my strong faith. I smiled at everyone, and during my hospitalization for surgical operations, I supported the other patients. I passed away on 24th April in the year 2009. What can I do to be more like you, Matteo? All you must do is spread happiness, cheer, joy, and laughter to those around you. Smile whenever you meet someone. Pray for them that they may find happiness in their lives. Very soon, you'll find your own life filled with great happiness. I did what I could in my short time on earth. You too can carry forward my mission and spread the happiness given by God to those around you. Help and support others with no hesitation. It was really great meeting you, Matteo. It was great meeting you too. Keep praying for me and pray to me. I too will be praying for you from up above. Before I leave, I would like to leave you with this quote. It is useless to despond. We have to be happy and transmit happiness. The more happiness we give people, the more people are happy. The more they are happy, the more we are happy. Good going. You made a friend in Matteo Farina. Remember, it's what you learn that counts. Matteo Farina was born quite recently, in the year 1990. He was a student just like us, but he followed a mission, the mission being to spread happiness in the world. Can we also follow that same mission? Spread happiness wherever we go. You just have to do simple things. Smile. When you look at a person, give them a smile. Greet them. You never know how much a small greeting can help the person you are wishing. A person might be having a very bad day, but that one greeting, it can be a good morning, it can even be a compliment. That one little phrase can lift up the spirit so much that you can make their entire day better. When their day is better, they will definitely spread the same happiness to those around them. So, make others happy so that the world we live in can also be happy. This brings us back to the gates of heaven. As we can see, the ensemble of saints have been joined by Matteo Farina. This brings us to who is that saint? Towards the left, we have a silhouette of a saint, and towards the right, we have a clue pertaining to that saint. The clue reads out, the first non-Italian pope in 455 years. Clubbing the silhouette on the left and the clue to the right, if you can figure out who the saint is, type the answer in the comment section below. If you can't figure out who the saint is, Make sure you tune in next week to learn more about the saints. So thank you.